Hello guys, I'm currently on grindleadcode.com and it's a website where you can sort out the questions according to companies. As you know, LeetCode does not allow it inherently. You have to buy the premium. But in this, we can sort our questions according to companies. So I'll be sorting according to Google and topic. I won't sort according to the topic. I'll sort according to the difficulty. I'll choose hard. And the first question we have encountered is number of digit 1. So I'll be solving this in this video. So I'll go on this question. Oh, wait a second. I need to sign up. What the hell? Okay, so this is our question. Number of digit 1. So we have been given an integer n and we have to count total number of digit 1 appearing in all the non-negative integers less than or equal to n. So basically we have to see all the numbers from 1 to that number n, and we have to manage or track the number of digit 1 occurring. So for example, our first test case is 13. So I'll write down for 13. So for 13, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So these are the numbers from 1 to 13, and we have to count number of digit 1. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, and 6. So answer for n is equals to 13 is 6. And for our second test case, for 0 is 0. So we have discussed the test cases. Now the first vague idea, the first idea which will come into your mind would be running a loop. We can simply run a loop from non-negative integers. So basically non-negative means you can include 0. From 0 to n, we'll run a loop and we'll create a function. And that function is count1. Count1 is the name of that function. We'll pass a number to that, okay. So what we'll do, we'll pass this number from 0 to n, we'll pass this number and calculate number of digit 1. So we can create a variable int answer is equals to 0, and we'll add this value that function will return, count1 will return, and we'll pass I, that is our variable, and we can return this answer. And now in this function we have to extract our digits. So basically how do we extract digits? Simply using a while loop. While I is greater than is equals to 1, and we'll also keep a variable for number of ones. So int 1 is equals to 0. While I is greater than 0, we can simply find its remainder, that is int remainder is equals to I mod 10. And if remainder is equals to 1, then we can simply do 1's plus plus, and we can simply do I divide by is equals to 10. Yani we'll actually divide I by 10, so that number reduces, and will until I greater than 0 it will run. So now this function will calculate the total number of ones, and I'll return the total number of ones in a single number, and we'll do this for all the numbers between 0 to n. And let's run this. This will pass in the test cases, I think so. This does passes in the test cases. I'll submit this, and this is on a TLE, so we'll hit the time limit because I'm doing it for all the numbers, and time limit has been exceeded on the 35th test case out of 38th. Now why does it happen? Our constraints are from 0 to 10 to the power 9, and the number of allowed operations in 1 second are only 10 to the power 8, and our time complexity is O of n, and it will not pass because this operation also takes around 5 to 6 operations. So this is not gonna pass. So what's gonna pass? What's the optimal solution for this code? So that we'll discuss. The optimal solution for this code will be with digit DP. Now what is digit DP? So in digit DP, we don't run our loop from 0 to n. We will actually make numbers from 0 to n, all the numbers from 0 to n, and then count the number of digit ones. So now we are actually going to make numbers. Now for digit DP, now we'll have to discuss what will be the states of DP. DP has states, so we'll discuss what would be the states of DP. The first state would be number of counts. If you are creating a 6-digit number, so you are standing on the 3rd digit or you are standing on the 4th digit, that would be the first count. Second would be number of ones that you have tracked till now. We are creating a number, we have to create a 6-digit number. Imagine we have to create a 6-digit number. So the first state is the index you are index which you are standing. For example, till now we have 467. So we are standing on the 3rd index. So third, this one is a state, 3 is a state. Now our second state is how many ones we have encountered till now. 467 has no ones, so we have encountered 0. And the third state is a tight state. Now what is the tight state? In all the digit DP questions, in which you have to make a number, you have a tight state. Now what does tight define? For example, our n value is, for example, 467. So what is tight state? Now you cannot cross a number. Like if you have to make a number below 467, so you cannot cross that number. So you cannot choose any number greater than 4 on the first digit. You cannot choose any number greater than 6 on the second place, and you cannot choose any number greater than 7 on the third place. That is tight. And if you have chosen any number smaller than, like if you have breaked the order, for example, if I'm writing 2, then I don't have to follow the limits. For example, if the first digit I chose was 4, then I have to choose another digit, like the second digit, smaller than 6. Because if I choose a digit greater than 6, for example 7, now my number is gonna be like greater than 467, because whatsoever I choose on the third position, for example 0, 470 is greater than 467. So until and unless you choose any digit that is not same to the n value, your tight is equals to 1. And if you choose a smaller number, for example I choose 2, then my tight value will be 0. Initially we will pass tight value as 1, so basically we are like assuming our number that is getting formed is same as n. But as soon as you choose a smaller number, now you have the right to choose any number. Since I have choose 2, now I can choose 9 or 8, any number, because I have choose a smaller prefix, like because the first place was 4, I choose 2, now I can choose 8, 9, whatsoever. Okay, so this was the third state. Now I'll be making a DP. First of all, so I'll simply extract all the numbers. I'll create a vector, that is array. Now what I'm going to do, I'll break this number n. Why do we need this number n? Because this will tell our limits now, like 467. 467 is our number, so we'll have to break this number into 3. So our array will look like this: 4, 6, 7. Now 4 defines the limit of the first state, then 6, then 7. So we have to break this number, and I've made an array while n is greater than 0. While n is greater than 0, so we can simply push n modulo 10 and then actually divide n divide. So by this way we can simply push our limits. And now I'll reverse this array. Why am I reversing this array? Because like remainders get stored in this format now, like 467. First 7 will be stored, then 6 will be stored, then 4 will be stored. But actually I want 4 as first, so I'll reverse this array. I'll reverse arr.begin and like arr.end. Simply we have reversed this. After this, we'll simply check if arr.size is equals to 0. What if there is no element? Like, yes, there can be like no elements. So, wait a second. I mean, the logic is, what if the number is already 0? Then what will you return? So, I'll simply return 0. And, no, actually, I'll not return 0. If arr.size is equals to 0, if there is no element, then I'll simply push a 0. Because see, there is a problem, like our code fails on a simple edge case. What if the n is equals to 0? So our loop runs from n greater than 0. That's why we have to do this step. Now I'll create a vector of vector. That is our 3D DP state. And the first state is our array size. Like I told you about the indexes now, that you are making 467, so you are standing on the first index, then second, then third. So you need the length. You need the length of array. So I'll also do this if int x is equals to arr.size. And I can simply do if x is equals to 0. So I'll pass x plus 1. Why am I passing x plus 1? Just to like handle edge cases. Your indexes can go one place above, okay? And the second one is vector of vector. Our second state is tracking ones. How many ones we have tracked till now? That should be also x plus 1. What if you are making a number that contains all 1? So that also should be like there. And at last we'll be creating vector of int. And this state, what does this store? This stores the tight. So basically like I told you about the tight thing now, that you are following the correct number, then tight is goes to 1, and if you're not following, then it's 0. So tight can have only two values, 1 or 0, and I'll store -1 in all of them. Now I'll simply return solve of. Now what I'll be passing to the function, since I'm using recursive DP, I'll be solving it using a function. So I'll be passing 0. Now 0 is my index which I'm starting at. Second thing I'll be passing is ARR. Third thing I'll be passing is DP. Then I'll be passing tight value. Tight value is initially 1, and number of ones is 0. So I'll be passing them. Now I'll make a function. The function will be, I'll make long of solve. No, actually it's not needed long. I think int works. So first of all is int of index. Second is our array. Third is our DP. Vector of vector. DP. fourth one is int type variable, and the fifth one is ones. Now how many ones have you encountered till now? And what will be our edge case? Edge case is if index is equals to ARR of size, like you have made the whole number, then what you will do? You will simply return ones. Whatever ones you have collected, you will return them. Now you will check the DP. If DP of index then ones and then type. If this is not equals to 1, yani why DP is used? DP is used for pre-computation. Like you encounter a sub problem that has been already solved. If this is already solved, then you can simply return the answer. Return, I'll copy this and I'll paste this. Okay, now we'll have to check a limit. What is our limit? We'll check if type is equals to 1. If type is equals to 1, then our limit is ARR of I. For example, I'll again help you on this. For example, our n value is, I'll take some other example, 2045, and the number which you have currently formed is 20. So you are following the same pattern. N had 2, you made 2. N had 0, you made 0. No. So in this case, type will be 1. Type will be 1, and your limit will be 4. That means you cannot choose any element that is greater than 4. Why you cannot choose any element greater than 4? For example, if I choose 5, now any number that I am going to form will be greater than this number. For example, if I have chosen 5, now I'll choose whatsoever number 0. This number is greater than our n, and our code will fail. That's why type will be 1 in that case. But think, if my current value is 16, so in start itself there was 2, I chose 1. So basically what I did was I chose the smaller prefix than the current number, like then the n. N was 2, I chose 1. Now I have the right to choose any number. I choose 9 or 8 or 7 or any number. I can choose any number, but that will work. If I choose 8, now whatsoever number I choose on the 4th position, for example 0, my number is smaller than n. So there is where limit comes into place. If I'm at 20, that means type is 1 and my limit is ARR of I. My limit is 4. But if type is equals to 0, in this case type is equals to 0, then my limit will be 9. Then I can choose any number between 0 to 9. So this was the logic of type. Since I've choose limit, okay, so this is a case of ternary operator. Basically you check if type is equals to 1, then limit will be ARR of I, otherwise 9. Now I'll run a loop. Int d is equals to 0 and d less than is equals to limit d plus plus. Now we'll also create int answer that will like store our answers for all the stages. I'll simply do answer plus is equals to solve. We have to pass index plus 1 because we are going to the next index. We'll pass ARR, we'll pass DP. For type, what we'll pass? For type, we'll pass type and with d is equals to ARR of I. Now what does this signify? If d is equals to ARR of I, if you are following the current pattern like 2045, 204, if you are following the same pattern, then this will return true, and type is already true, then true and true will give you true. That means type will be again 1. But if this goes false, then overall we'll get false. That means type would become 0. Now you have breaked the pattern. And at last I have to pass ones. So ones plus is equals to d is equals to 1. Now why am I using that many operators? Like my code is somewhat like confusing, but it is okay. Ones plus is equals to d is equals to 1. So if d was 1, so we'll add 1, otherwise no. And return simply dp of index ones and type is equals to answer. Let's submit this, not basically run this. Let's see if this runs. Okay, so there is a problem. ARR of I, okay, so there is no ARR of I, there is ARR of IDX index. Okay, there is again a problem. Okay, I'll submit this. Let's see. And yes, we have got our answer in 0 milliseconds. This is the most optimal solution you will find anywhere. I'll also analyze this. Okay, the suggested way was counting. I don't know. How do you count? But our code is dynamic programming, recursion, and memoization. So I mean, this is good. This is very optimal. Our current complexity is basically login into login. Like, yes, cause we are again and again solving, and we have been suggested switch to mathematical digit counting. I mean, I won't, because my code runs in 0 millisecond, and readability and everything is good. So that was it. Thank you.